Good evening, everyone. It is such an honor to be here. Truly, this isn't just, to be in this space. We took over the Goodman, like we're here, right? And I really want to thank Latinos Progresando for inviting me to participate in this, but even more than that, for having this event. I think that the fact that this event even exists is a sign of our progress. We have this space where we're able to have these critical conversations, and they're ours. We are listening to each other and learning from each other, and I think that that is one of our pathways to power. They say our existence is resistance. Well, the existence of us being here, I think, is resistance. So I've been thinking a lot about power lately. For whatever reason, the last month has really been on my brain. And as I've been thinking about power, you won't hear a lot of my stories tonight because my stories are pretty long. I love detail. But it all comes from my experience. When I think about our community, the fact that we have been abused the way we have means we haven't yet arrived. Something's missing. But I see so much richness, so many resources, so many treasures within our community. And so when I think about where our power comes from, where is it? Is it outside of our community or is it in? It's in the community. But what we do, we have these resources. What we haven't done yet, I think, is strategically allocated those resources intentionally and deliberately to make sure that we're aligning and that we're actually making movement in a way that is more like an investment approach. Instead of just helping our community, instead of just supporting our community, are we really thinking about these as investments, as a process of building towards the future that we envision? When I think about power, what is power? Power is that mobilization, that activation of the resources that we have. And who are the people who do that for our community? It's our leaders. Leaders are not defined in my book as the people who have power. Because it's not about having power. It's about how they use their power. Leaders are the people who use whatever resources they have to be able to move forward an agenda that helps to build a stronger community. And I see a whole bunch of people down here in the first row. I don't see a whole bunch of people, but I have faith that you're there, up in the balconies, who have resources, who have talent, who have gifts. Some of you have money. Some of you are educators. Whatever those gifts are, if you activate them, you are the leaders that we're looking for, right? The leadership is here. I was having a conversation with one of the youth leaders earlier this summer, a young man that I, by every definition, would call a community leader. And he tells me, Reyna, I want to ask about your perspective. I want to get a sense from you about who you think the leader is in our community. And I go, well, what do you mean by the leader? And I knew what he meant. He meant, who is our Martin Luther King Jr.? Who is our new Cesar Chavez, right? Because we have this certain idea that the person at the mic, the person on stage, is the leader, the person with the bullhorn. And I told him, genuinely, I don't see leaders as people who are looking for followers. I see leaders as people who make other leaders. And in our community, we need a lot of leaders. We don't need one. Movements are made by masses. But what we do need is to make sure that those individuals are allocating those resources. I told him in my own story, I've always thought about myself as a community asset, and I try to think about where I can make the best contributions to the community, and really think about, there's a place for everyone, whether you're that nurturer that makes sure that people are educated, or that makes sure that people have housing, or that they're healthy, or that they've eaten. Some of the people in this room prefer a space of activism, right? You like to be the person organizing people on the street, the person sending messages and motivating people to come out, to get involved, to get engaged. Some of the people in this room are the researchers who are bringing us the data, who are looking at the issues, who are trying to make policy change and really refine what it is that we want to push in those institutions. We have a whole range of public and private institutions, whether we're talking about schools or government, or public universities, or major hospital systems, corporations, you name it. Unfortunately, a lot of times those institutions were not built for us. They were not designed for us, and they sometimes do not serve us. So when we think about public and private sector institutions, we know that we've got people in all of these spaces. We have our business owners, we have our Marty Castros, we have our teachers, we have our lawyers. We need to be in all of those spaces. Sometimes, in my experience, I've seen people who feel like if you're not doing what I'm doing, you're doing it wrong. You're doing the wrong thing. And we have a lot of judgment and we have a lot of infighting. But we need every single one of these because there's a role to be played by everyone. I think that this genuinely is our toolbox for change, right? When you have a toolbox, you need a wide range of tools. And those tools are going to do different things for different purposes. Sometimes those tools are going to need to call the masses, and you need your organizers, and you need visibility. Sometimes you're going to need to really refine this nuanced change in the law, and you need your lawyers or you need your advocates. For jobs, we need our entrepreneurs. We need our people in business and corporate. We need more people who are able to push up. So I posit that our pathway to leadership is really pushing and building up our leaders so that we're able to broaden that bottleneck, because right now we have a lot of gatekeepers in our community. We need to make sure that more of us are getting through, and then that we have cyclical leadership, that we are reinvesting in our community once we've made it. The National Hispanic Institute calls this the investor beneficiary, because we are the people who have the most benefit to gain by our communities making progress, so we should be the primary investors. And we need to build. We can't only focus on advocacy. We need to build peace. This summer, I've had the experience of learning what peace means. I think before this summer, I thought of peace as the absence of violence, as the absence of war. But I learned through the Increase the Peace youth-led program that peace is actually something that's hard work. You build it, you create it. Peace is not a noun, it's a verb. It's not something you have, it's something you do. Bringing beauty into the community, bringing dialogue, support to each other, music. So I ask you in this room, how are you going to invest your talent, your resources, to make sure that we are lifting people up, that we are building something, and that we are pushing hard to make the change that we need? Thank you.